Hello and welcome to Warcraft Daily for today, the 6th of September 2013. So, the first thing I'm going to say is that the next 1 or 2 days might be a tiny bit sparse in content, or at least on the heavily produced stuff. The reason for that is because I'm getting ready for patch 5.4, I have a crap ton of videos to do, and it'll probably take me most of now until Tuesday to get them all done, but yeah, it hopefully shouldn't affect things that much, but it might just a little bit. Anyway, let's go on to the news. It's mainly some just like tweets and chat and stuff from the Blues to talk about, because, well, I don't really have time to do anything big and fancy, so let's get into it. First things, professions. They said they agree that leveling them is a problem and they want to fix it, but they don't yet have an announcement. Now, they previously did say in the next expansion that they want to streamline the leveling of pretty much every profession. This is definitely needed. Leveling professions is an absolute nightmare. Especially because of the scarcity of a whole bunch of the mats that you need. For an example, Hypnotic Dust can cost 600 plus gold a stack, which means that if you were buying all the stuff, it's going to cost you like, I don't know, 10k to level just that one little bit of enchanting. There's loads of problems similar to that all over the place. So, yeah, it's not really a good circumstance of like things. Anyway, they also said that unless there are any last minute changes, the Sky Golem will make the patch. If you remember, there was a mount called Skyclaw, and it pretty much looked like there was some like last minute stuff went on, and it wasn't able to make it was either 5.2 or 5.3, and apparently the Sky Golem shouldn't have a problem like that, and it should make it in, which is always good because it's a hell of a cool mount. Now let's talk about some stuff that will affect all of us. So they confirmed that the only Valor points sink in 5.4 will be item upgrades, apart from, say, buying old epics. This is fair enough. I think that it means that LFR players and stuff like that, they aren't forced to have this really slow grind to just have vendor epics like the Shadowpan Assault. At least they get sort of more interesting content like getting Burdens of Eternity and Timeless Isle stuff. So yeah, I think that's pretty good news. They also said that they agree they didn't do a very good job of integrating justice points into the expansion. That's a bit of an understatement. I think they did an absolutely awful job. Justice points are only really useful now in that the old 5.1, 5.0 epics are purchasable for justice points, but before that, justice points pretty much just bought you like 4, 5, 8 item level stuff, which is just crap, just that and heirlooms. And it's also really weird to get because you only get it from doing LFD, and LFD is nearly pointless at this stage. So yeah, it was just an absolute mess. They also said that Mastery isn't at low levels because it would be too much for new players to learn. That's definitely true. This game has a major issue with getting people to stay, and we'll touch on that again later. They also said that the Siege of Orgrimmar weapons don't have procs, so they can balance them with the heirlooms off Garrosh. Basically, they want everything to be competitive. And they also said that they think the Siege of Orgrimmar trinkets are cool in the meantime. Honestly, I don't know, I think I would have liked procs and weapons. I think that's a pretty interesting gameplay thing. Now, the only problem is that procs are probably a little bit harder to balance, and it would probably lead to like some weird combinations of, if you're this spec with this talent and your weapon has this proc, you can do something. A bit similar to what happened with, say, Demonology Warlocks who had the Lei Shen trinket. So, yeah, there's that. Now, let's move on. They said that we are now at the stage where a lot of people have many characters and they don't want to have to do the same thing so many times. So you don't want to get Klaxi and 4 characters as an example. Now, some want to raid on these characters without putting in much extra work to gear them up. The Blue said that in the 5.1 and 5.0 epics will cost justice points, meaning that they will be easier to get. And it also sounds like they are going to keep alts in mind a lot in the next expansion, but not to the point of the Cataclysm model where it's too alt friendly and the people run out of things to do. They also said, on top of that, you don't need to bother with those reputations because you can do Timeless Isles as an example. But it definitely is a problem gearing up alts, especially before. I'd say in 5.2 is a major problem because you didn't really have the 5.3 stuff like Battlefield Barons to really get your item level up. You just had to grind and grind and grind, and if you want those epics, then you just had to do the really annoying reputations, which, by the way, in this expansion, worst rep grinds this game has ever had, because they were pretty much all the same, bar, like, say, Shadowpan Offensive, or Shadowpan whatever. Yeah, just the Shadowpan, like, the regular faction. I don't know if you've done them, but they seriously had the most annoying damn dailies I've ever seen. And just, it was so much gating of content. I'm very glad that they're not going to do that again, because I think it was just so damaging to the game. And just especially to the early experience of Mists of Pandaria. if the kind of 5.2, 5.3, well, more like just the 5.3 and what 5.4 will be, if that experience was kind of the experience we got since the start of the expansion, I think people's opinions of this expansion would be much higher, because just the content is so much better now. Also, they said that they want to make the Cloud Serpent riding account-wide. That's a very nice quality of life thing. And they also acknowledge that yearly expansions would lead to a leveling problem. Not too many people make it to max level, and if that bar is constantly being pushed, people may never, new people, it'll be such a large challenge. And the problem is that speeding people up through the levels is to the detriment of the leveling experience. For an example, if you, say, just leveling up regularly, and you out-level every zone halfway through it, which happens a lot now, what happens is you don't really get to see half the cool stuff in that zone, you don't get half the good gear, and the zone doesn't feel like a place. It just, like, say Ashenvale. Ashenvale is really fun, it's got its own little story, and you go through it, and at the end, there's a good payoff. It's nice. But if you're only getting half the experience, it's kind of bad. So it's really the amount of levels and I suppose level bloat's just such a problem with the game. And also we have to remember there's no other games that have really lasted this long and had this constant addition of new levels on top of them. WoW is really facing a very unique problem at the minute, and it's one the developers will have to think their way out of. So yeah, they finally said that having legendaries this expansion. Having every legendary of the expansion at 5.4 be useful would make the power difference between players with and without far too large, and it really would. I think it's a weird way that legendaries have worked out this expansion. It's perhaps got a little bit better as we've went on. Basically, I think that they want the legendaries in terms of the questline ones to be useful, maybe on the patch, like the current patch, maybe the next one, but not the whole expansion. Whereas if it's a weapon, they want it to be useful for the entire expansion. Of course, we didn't get a weapon this time, which is kind of sad, because I think legendary weapons were very fun. They just need to make sure that acquiring them is not equivalent to, I get 5 of this item a week, I need 50, I'll get it in 10 weeks, because that just wasn't fun. But anyway, that's it for today's show. I'm gonna go and make a crap ton of like guides and 5.4 stuff. That is, of course, assuming that Hearthstone doesn't steal all my time, which it does. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please like and consider subscribing. I'd appreciate it a lot, and with that, I'll see you next time.